If you're thinking of quitting your job, wait. Give me a few minutes. Because this might save you from making the biggest mistake of your life. Or give you the clarity to finally take that leap that you've been avoiding for years. Have you ever thought of quitting your job because you felt stuck? Maybe there's this dream that you want to chase, starting a business, traveling, creating something of your own. But the fear of money, uncertainty, and judgment keeps holding you back. I've been there. And before I quit my job, there were a few things that I did and a couple of things which I wish I had done sooner. So if you're thinking of quitting your 9 to 5, this video might just give you the clarity that you need. I spent 10 years in the corporate world and 7 years as an entrepreneur. My stint in the corporate world was good money, clear path, stability. But inside, I was slowly dying. The days blurred into one another. Meetings, targets, emails, repeat. My friends in the corporate world will be able to relate to what I'm saying. And yet I didn't quit. Not for a long time. Why? Because quitting your job isn't freedom. Not immediately. It's a test of who you are without the structure. Most people don't hate their job. They hate who they've become because of it. But running away without a plan, that's not brave. That's panic. Everyone's circumstances are different, but I can share mine if it helps you to take that decision. To help you assess that if you're ready or you need to give it more time. I hail from a middle-class Indian family. My father is a retired Indian Army veteran, so one thing that I did gain from my army background was adaptability. Landed my first corporate job at the age of 23 post my MBA. And I had a stint in the corporate sector for 8 years post that. Before giving entrepreneurship a shot for a few years, got back in the corporate sector and finally quit the corporate sector in 2024. Now, I'm not a big spender. I had some savings and I had developed a side hustle even when I was in a corporate job, which was giving me some money. And I had no liabilities in the form of any loans. And when I moved my base from the city to the hills, my expenses came down and my savings and my side hustle could cover my basic expenses. Being an ex-banker and an ex-Big Four consultant, I have deeply studied personal finance over the years. So I've developed a certain amount of expertise on how to get the optimal returns on my investments. So that was an additional comforting factor while I was quitting my job. So that's my story so far. Before I quit my job, here are a list of 3 essentials that I feel that anybody should do, which I did. The first thing that I did was to build a financial runway. And here's the truth. Quitting without money in the bank isn't brave. It's reckless. I told myself that if I'm going to jump, I need a bridge, not a free fall. So I saved up to 12 months of my basic expenses. Actually, I saved a little more than that. Now this meant tracking what I actually need to survive. Rent, food, bills, insurance, not the luxury stuff, just the basics. Why? Because when you have the cushion, you can take risks without panicking. You can focus on building the next chapter instead of constantly worrying. What if I can't pay rent? And trust me, that peace of mind is priceless. Now, do I wish that I had started saving earlier? Absolutely. Even if you're not planning to quit tomorrow, start building that fund today. Future you will thank you. The second thing which I did, and this was a game changer, was that I developed my side hustle while being in a corporate job. Weekends, evenings, lunch breaks, any free hour that I had, I put it into testing ideas. I didn't wait for perfect. I didn't wait for permission. I started ugly. And honestly, that's the best way because you learn faster. You fail cheaper. You prove to yourself whether your idea has legs without risking everything. So when I finally quit, I wasn't starting from zero. I already had a small foundation, a sense of what worked, and a little bit of income trickling in. And here's what I wish I'd done even sooner. Stop worrying about how it looks. Stop thinking that you need the perfect brand or website. Just put out the work and you'll figure it out as you go forward. Now the third thing which I did was, which might sound simple, but it was powerful, was spending time alone in silence. No phone, no laptop, no constant scrolling, just me walking, journaling, and just sitting with my thoughts. And you know what? That's when the answers start to come to you because burnout clouds your vision. Stress makes everything feel urgent. But when you create space for stillness, clarity comes. For me, some of the biggest decisions on my next step didn't come from late night sessions. They came from quiet mornings, journaling over a cup of coffee. So if you're thinking of quitting, don't just drown yourself in hustle. Create stillness. Because the right answers don't come from noise. They come from peace. So if I have to do a quick recap of these 3 things that I did. Number 1, build a financial runway. Number 2, build a side hustle before you quit. And number 3, spend time alone. Now quitting your job is a big step. And it's not about running away from something. It's about running towards something. If you're watching this, maybe that voice inside you has already started whispering that you're ready for more. Listen to it. Now let's accept it. Quitting your job is not the goal. Creating a life that doesn't need escaping is. People used to tell me you're so lucky, you found your purpose. No, it wasn't luck. It was intentional discomfort. And I don't romanticize the path because it's hard, it's lonely, and it'll test everything that you believe about yourself. But it's worth it. Not for the lifestyle, not for the views, but because you finally become you. Now, apart from these three things, let's look at other practical things that you can actually do. Quitting your job is one of the scariest and the most exciting decisions you'll ever make. But here's the truth. Most people do it the wrong way. They get frustrated, quit impulsively, and then spend months stressing about money, scrambling for work, and regretting not preparing properly. So before you hand in that resignation letter, here are three things that you must do that really helped me. Journal, plan, and act. Let's just call it the 3-step process for quitting your job. And we're going to break it down further. These steps will help you save time, money, and mental breakdowns. And they will give you the confidence to move into your next chapter with clarity. The first step is journaling. Before you quit, you need to figure out what you actually want. It sounds simple, but most of us only know what we don't want. We say things like, I hate my boss, or I hate my job, but running away isn't the same as moving towards something better. So take a notebook and ask yourself these things. What kind of a life do I really want in the next 3 to 5 years? What does an ideal day look like for me? Do I want freedom, more money, more creativity, travel, impact? What are those skills that I currently possess, and which are those skills that I want to develop? Write freely without judging yourself. The goal isn't to have a perfect plan. The goal is to build clarity. Because if you quit without knowing what you want, you will end up taking another job that you hate, just in a different office. When I did this exercise, I realized that I didn't want a higher paying job. I wanted flexibility, the freedom to travel, create something of my own. That clarity changed every decision I made after it. Now, once you have clarity, the next step is to have a plan in place. Now, this is where most people fail. They quit with zero runway and expect life to magically sort itself out. Don't do that. Here's the golden rule. At least 12 months of survival money. That means add up your essential expenses. Rent, food, bills, transportation, and multiply that by 12. That's your safety net. Why 12 months? Because it gives you breathing space. You won't make desperate decisions out of fear. You can experiment, fail, and still have the confidence that your basics are covered. If you can save more than 12 months, that's even better. Now, if saving for 12 months seems impossible, at least save for 6. The point here is to build a buffer and also plan beyond money. Like health insurance, will you be covered? Debt, can you reduce or freeze payments? Lifestyle, what expenses can you cut right now to make the transition easier for you? Think of it in this way. Quitting your job isn't just about leaving your boss. It's about building a bridge to your next chapter. Not just jumping off a cliff and hoping to fly. Now that you have the clarity and the plan, the next step is to act. Don't wait until you quit to start. Test your ideas while you still have a paycheck. Ask yourself these questions. Can I start a side hustle right now? Can I consult, freelance, or sell something on my own? Can I create content, build an audience, or validate my business idea? The key here is to create proof of concept. The proof that someone is willing to pay you. Proof that your idea actually works in the real world. Even small wins matter. Even if you're earning $100 to $500 on the side, you will feel more confident that scaling up from there is possible. Now, this also shifts your identity from being an employee who dreams to a builder who creates. Now, that mindset shift is as important as the money. So before you quit your job, don't forget to journal, plan, and act. Journal to figure out what you really want. Plan so you don't drown in stress after leaving. Act now so that you have the momentum before you walk out of that door. Quitting your job can actually be the start of your freedom or the start of chaos. The difference is how you prepare. So don't just jump, build your bridge. If you found this useful, then share it with someone who's thinking of quitting their job. And if you're planning to take the leap yourself, tell me in the comments that what's your biggest fear. I'd love to hear your story. Hit subscribe if this helped, because on this channel, we don't run away from life. We redesign it. Leave a comment below. What's your biggest reason for wanting to quit your job? I read and respond to every one of them. Let's build something better together.